I'm thinking graduation. How graduation season is just like it's kind of fascinating because when you think about it, every year fully grown adults temporarily forget how public behavior actually works. I'm talking about screaming over every single name, air horns going off indoors, people arguing over seats. Have you ever seen people climbing over the bleachers like the diploma, like it comes with a backstage pass? And somehow everybody just accepts it as normal graduation behavior. And on this channel, you know what I want us to talk about? I want us to think deeper about human behavior behind the things people think are just normal. Because when you think about it, nothing is ever just normal. There's psychology in it, emotion in it, identity in it. There's that social energy in it. And honestly, graduation season might be one of the clearest examples of emotional energy taking over entire crowds. Now, most people explain graduation chaos with just one sentence. They're just proud. And yes, that's very true. Okay. But I think something deeper is happening because graduation ceremonies are one of the few public places where adults feel socially permitted. They think it's okay to lose emotional containment. That's why people scream at the top of their lungs indoors. That's why security gets into arguments with parents. And when you think about it, that's people, they act like they personally completed the chemistry exam themselves. And the wild part is, many of those same adults would never behave like that at like a corporate banquet. They wouldn't scream through somebody's acceptance speech at a law conference. Do you think they will whip out a blowhorn, an air horn at like a luxury fundraiser? So the question becomes, what changes people behavior in certain emotional environment? I think humans mirror emotional energy faster than logical behavior. And crowds make that even stronger. One person screams, another person starts the screaming. One person stands up, now the whole section standing. One family starts acting all chaotic. Suddenly, here's the entire environment, just all emotional. Because human beings, they are emotional amplifiers, especially in groups. They love to show out in groups. And that's why panic spreads fast. That's why riots, they spread even faster. And even entire stadiums, they chant together. And honestly, that's why when you think about it, graduation ceremonies can go from beautiful to chaotic under 60 seconds. I saw a situation where a woman grabbed another woman's telephone out of her back pocket and threw it down in the bleachers. And the other woman immediately retaliated physically. And what fascinated me wasn't just the fights, it was how quickly everybody around them got emotionally pulled into the chaos. People yelling, of course. We had the people recording, people jumping in, bystanders escalating the energy instead of calming the energy down. And suddenly, nobody's thinking anymore. everybody just feeling no logic. But honestly, I kind of think social media made public behavior even more theatrical because now people don't just experience moments, they perform the moments. Everything has become content, even celebrations, even grief, even intimate family milestones. So now some people don't feel like the moment even really mattered unless everybody in the building knows how emotional they are. That's why the reactions, they keep getting grander, louder, more dramatic, more attention seeking. Attention is a hell of a word because silence doesn't necessarily always go viral. Calmness doesn't trend. Nobody uploads a video titled Emotionally Regulated Family Quietly Supports Graduate. Oh no, honey. The internet is going to reward a spectacle. So now emotional restraint almost looks less authentic than chaos. And that's dangerous because once performance enters public emotion, people slowly stop asking. They stop thinking, they stop processing. Is this even appropriate? And instead, they're just like, will this get attention? Will this get clicks? Will this get views? And honestly, I do understand why graduation hits people emotionally. Some families, they sacrifice everything to get that child across that stage. Some parents worked multiple jobs. And of course, the students, they're surviving social pressure like depression, bullying, poverty, violence, low confidence, self doubt. So, for many people, they're not just celebrating a piece of paper, they're not just celebrating that diploma, they're surviving. They're celebrating that surviving they went through. So, I think the adulthood requires emotional regulation because celebration without self control is usually it's going to turn into chaos pretty quickly. And social media has blurred that line badly. Now people think being emotionally overwhelmed publicly is proof of being authentic. When sometimes it's proof of emotional instability. And I know people don't like hearing that. But maturity is not just having emotion, it's knowing how to manage them. And honestly, graduation behavior connects to something much bigger happening in society. We're living in an era where emotional performance is slowly replacing emotional discipline. Everybody wants to express, nobody wants to regulate. Everybody wants to react. Nobody wants to pause. And social media keeps rewarding the loudest emotional behavior in the room. So now entire crowds, they unconsciously, they compete for the attention. Who can scream the loudest? Who can react the biggest? Who can go the most viral? And eventually, public events stop feeling organized and start feeling emotionally combustible. So now I'm wondering, Are graduation ceremonies becoming celebrations, or are graduations becoming emotional performance arenas? Because there is a difference. And honestly, if adults are fighting over bleacher seats, if they're throwing telephones, arguing with security, and losing emotional control during a ceremony that's supposed to represent achievement, then maybe the graduates are the only people still learning maturity. And that is fascinating. But I do have a question. Let's ponder something for a moment. What do you all think? Are graduation ceremonies exposing a lack of emotional discipline in adults? Or are people just expressing pride louder than previous generations? Because somewhere between celebration and chaos, a line got blurred.